Sorry.
All right. We're being live streamed. Okay.
You good to go.
Okay. Looking good. All right. I'm going to go right into sharing. Just a second. Okay. Just a second. Waiting for the screen to pop up. All right. Let me get into my drive. And let me just set this up as okay. Here we go. All right. So this is for the class of 2025. Here's my contact information. And again, I will send this out tomorrow. Please realize that I only read and respond during school hours and school days. So if you email me in a panic on a Sunday night, I'm not going to see it until Monday morning. All right, I'm asking the juniors to join the class of 2025 Google Classroom that I just set up. Here's the code. We'll be putting up posters soon in the school halls so that you can join as well. Parents, you cannot join the classroom. It is just for students because they have to use their NYC students email to join. I will send out basically the same information that's on the Google Classroom. I do send it out through Naviance. Parents, if you are not on my email distribution list, make sure that mailer@naviance.com is in your address book. And you can also email me or text me to get a parent account on Naviance. Okay, so what is college and career ready? Well, this whole presentation tonight is going to be about what juniors can be doing this year to show colleges that they are ready to start and that sort of choices that they can make this year can affect them senior year and can affect their ability to get into schools and programs next, when they graduate. So being college and career ready basically means that a student is able to get at least a C, which is like a 74, 75 in college math and college history and literature courses. So students can show readiness for college success through the choices and grades that they make in high school. So that includes things like attendance, and yes, that includes gym, their choice of coursework. So if they're successful in regular Regents classes, they should see if they can go to the next level of honors. If they're already in honors, can they go to the next level of scholars or AP, advanced placement? What can they do to show the colleges that they are willing to challenge themselves? Because it's not that interesting to a school if you have a 98 average, but it's in the bare minimum regular classes. If you're able to show that you can be successful in advanced classes, in challenging classes that are more challenging than the regular, that really can prove that you are ready for college. So you can also show your readiness by having at least 4 years of math, at least through trigonometry and science, and 3 years of foreign language. Many people have chosen to take only 2 years of foreign language, and that means that they will be somewhat limited in which schools they're going to be able to apply to because they will not be competitive with the other students who are applying. So that is something that you should consider. So I do have a bunch of seniors this year who realized their mistake and added on a third year of foreign language for senior year, and that will be fine for applying to schools. So keep this in mind when you are sitting with your guidance counselors to figure out your schedule for senior year. It is not necessarily true that having the shortest schedule possible means that you're going to be ready to apply to competitive schools. So when you are choosing classes, think about your majors. So if you're thinking about doing nursing, pre-med, pre-pharmacy, you're going to need high school chemistry. You're going to need advanced algebra 2/trigonometry. If you're thinking that you want to major in architecture or engineering or aviation, those colleges are going to want to see physics and pre-calculus. If you're thinking about computer science and engineering, most college programs want to see that you've done at least pre-calculus. And if you're able to get to like actual calculus, even better. Um, there are some students who are taking trigonometry right now as juniors, and they want to get to calculus. So one way to do that would be to maybe take College Now pre-calculus over the summer. A lot of people will do that over at the College of Staten Island. We usually send out announcements about that in the spring when those classes open up. And you should jump on those classes. They're free, they're college level, so you're getting college credits. And it enables you to be able to take calculus as a senior. So, that is a way to show that you've challenged yourself. And that's something that you can discuss with your guidance counselor as well. And if you're thinking that you'd like to be a design major, like a fashion design or interior design, some kind of fine arts, you're probably going to need a portfolio too. So if you haven't already taken art classes, taking art classes senior year would be a good idea. Whether you take them at our school or through a private, studio, you are going to need some people to help you with that portfolio. Okay, now juniors, you can start thinking about teacher recommendations. You do not ask until June. Trust me, do not ask now, because it will the teachers are just not ready to hear about it. Okay, so don't let this backfire on you. Don't start asking your junior year teachers now, but you should be thinking about which classes am I being successful in this year? Who are the teachers who know me well? If you don't know your teachers well, you need to start making an effort. Make sure that you're answering questions in class, that you're participating in group work, that you're showing up on time, that you're not being late, that you are doing the work, and that you're following up with your teachers if you don't understand what's going on. You need to show that you are making the effort. Teachers don't have to write you recommendations. It's not part of their job description. So if they agree to write you a recommendation, they're doing it as a favor to you. So think about which classes might be related to your major. It's not always possible, but sometimes it is. For example, if you happen to be in the business program, like finance or virtual enterprise, and you plan on majoring in business, then it's a no-brainer to try to get that business teacher to write your recommendation. If you're not in a business program, but you would still like to major in business, of course you can still major in business. And then in that case, maybe you're doing just an academic class. You're asking that teacher for a recommendation. Again, you do not ask until June, but you are requesting that recommendation on Naviance. And then there's a Google form on wagnerhigh.net that you can use to give the teacher information about yourself and how you did in their class. So now is the time to start cultivating that relationship with those teachers and to be thinking about, where are you shining? So another thing that juniors should consider this year is their extracurricular activities. So it is very smart to start building your resume now. So I have a resume builder on Naviance. So if you go to Naviance and you go to the initials, your initials in the upper right-hand corner, and then you click on resume, you'll see the template. I also have like a sample on the junior class Google Classroom. Okay. Quality over quantity is something that I am emphasizing. So that basically means instead of having 22 clubs that you're a part of, but you only go to like 1 or 2 meetings, it makes more sense that there's maybe 2 or 3 things that you've done for a long period of time that show your community service or your leadership or your involvement in your community or your school. Bear in mind that you are only putting stuff on this resume from high school, not middle school. The exception would be if you're doing something in high school that you've been doing since, elementary or middle school. So for example, maybe you've been playing piano since the age of 7 and you continue to take lessons now. Okay, that would be something that you could put down. Or you're in Boy Scouts and this year you're going to be an Eagle Scout. So you've been doing this for a super long time. Okay, that would be something you can put down. But that leadership award you got in seventh grade, I'm sorry, that does not go on your high school resume. The fact that you got into Junior National Honor Society, that's nice, but it doesn't go on your high school resume. Okay. Colleges do not care about what you did in middle school. So if you are worried that you don't have any clubs yet, you can still sign up for clubs. Okay. You can go to the Falcon's Nest in the back of the cafeteria and see the list. There's also a list of clubs on wagnerhigh.net if you go into students and then activities. Um, the clubs don't have to be within the school. You know, if you happen to belong to like your, I don't know, your church youth club, that would work. You happen to belong to, I don't know, you do community service at your mosque, that would also work. Okay. So community service is not actually required for graduation anymore, but I got to tell you, it's super helpful for your college applications and your resume. I am emphasizing that community service is specifically done at a nonprofit organization. So if you are volunteering at, I don't know, your uncle's law office, you're volunteering. Yeah, you're doing it for free. That is not a nonprofit. All right. You're not helping the community. You're helping your uncle and his firm. You're not helping the community. So nonprofit would mean maybe you're volunteering at your place of worship. Maybe you are volunteering at your old elementary school at the Latchkey program. Maybe you're volunteering and doing community service at the JCC, at their food pantry, or in a community garden, or you're a part of Service to Society Club here at Wagner, and you're doing the Westerly Park cleanup. Okay, those are examples of community service. I do have a community service directory posted on the Google Classroom. So if you join that Google Classroom, you will see it. I've got links to all these different places on the island. And there's also a bunch of virtual opportunities as well. I think there's at least 50 places on there. So you will find something that will suit you. Okay, so here's an example of some of the extracurriculars that you can also list on your resume and on your college applications that might be somewhat outside the box. So for example, going from the right-hand side, you've got, okay, God, I hope you're a better babysitter than this kid. But if you happen to babysit, that can go on your resume and on your college applications. It would go under work experience. It's okay that maybe it's cash only, right? And you're not like declaring taxes on it. It's off the books, so to say. That's all right. You can still list it as a thing that you do. And if you are going to list it, of course, mention the age of the children and what you are responsible for. So, for example, did you have to help with homework? Did you have to feed them dinner? Did you have to help with household chores? That's what you would put down. You would not put down babysitting if you happen to do it for free for your cousins or something. That's not really community service, guys. Okay, dog walking, right? Pet sitting, fostering pets. Those would be things that you could put down as well. Maybe you are teaching yourself guitar or another instrument. That could also work. You could also put that down. Maybe you play in a band with your friends. Yeah, I know it's not like a school related band, but you can still say that you play in a band for fun and you guys are writing songs together. That can be a thing that you can put on your resume and your college applications. Maybe you are a budding photographer. I actually had a student 2 years ago or a year ago who really got into photography over the pandemic, taught himself a lot, took some photography classes here at Wagner, and then he made like a specialty Instagram account that was just like devoted to his photography. And he ended up deciding he wanted to major in something related to journalism or photography. So when he was applying to colleges and on his resume, he included the link to his Instagram. And he actually had a few companies approach him because of his Instagram, and they hired him as like a photographer to do a few shoots for them. So this can be a really cool way to take a hobby and parlay it into something really significant on your college applications and your resume. And then, of course, this blinky eye at the top, that's somebody who maybe cosmetology is like cosmetics are a huge hobby for them. So I've had students who had like makeup tutorials on YouTube, or they had like makeup review blogs on YouTube or on Instagram. Again, they included that when they were applying to colleges and putting it on their resume. And of course, you would want to include that link when you're putting it on there as well. Okay, so I know I talk about Naviance a lot. Juniors, you will get used to using it. You can just go to student.naviance.com. Everybody already has an account, okay? Unless you just transferred to the school a week ago, you have an account. So when you log in, it's your OSIS number for the username. And then if you've never gone in or you haven't gone in a while, click on Forgot Password and you use your nycstudents.net email to send yourself a temporary password. If you want a parent account, parents, you can just email me at collegeoffice@wagnerhigh.net, or you can text me with your student's full name and grade. And the number is 848-218-5754. Now, junior year would be a great time to start attending college visits, college fairs, college open houses. So to arrange a visit, you just Google the college, right? And then every college has a search box on their website. So just type visit, right? Or it's going to be on the admissions page. And a lot of them will even have like little calendars showing the dates and the times that they do their visits. And you can sign up for a visit right then and there. Or they have like little areas where you can put in your information and then somebody will get back to you about scheduling a visit. You know, if you go away for, you know, one of our vacations or breaks, it would be really cool if you could add in a college visit, because then you're not squishing it all into like one short period of time. And I always feel like it's better to visit a college when classes are in session rather than over the summer. I understand some people can only go over the summer because that's when they're free. Okay, understandable. But if you can, try to arrange a visit for, you know, like our spring break, for example. Our spring break is not the same as the college spring breaks. So that's ideal because the colleges will still be in session and you can see what the vibe is like on campus with all those students milling around. So when you go on a visit or you go to a college fair and you talk to the admissions representative, you can ask about the admissions requirements for that college and even for your major in particular, if you happen to know it. So you can find out, hey, do you require 4 years of math? Do you need me to take physics? And you can ask them right then and there. You can ask about financial aid and any special scholarships that they have. If you're interested in this stuff, you can ask about opportunities for studying abroad or any internships. And when you ask about study abroad and internships, find out if that's like only a few people do it, or is it something that, wow, nearly everybody in this program does it? Okay, that's a good question. Ask about student life, like clubs and sports, and how to get involved in them. Ask about things like job placement and grad school placement rates. So, for example, you can ask, hey, what percentage of graduating seniors at this college get a job after graduation? That's a real question. And then if you don't know your major, ask them, how do you help students who haven't decided on a major? Some colleges, you know, just tell you, oh, you'll figure it out when you do general education requirements. Other colleges will have like a specialized program that's really targeted at advising people who aren't sure about their major. So find out about that, ask them about that. Okay, now applying to colleges and taking the SAT costs money. It can really, depending on how many schools you want to apply to, it can mean hundreds of dollars. So parents, if you would like to see if you qualify for a fee waiver, look at your 2023 taxes, and it's the number of people in the household versus the adjusted gross income. So if you're looking at your federal 1040 form from 2023, it's line 11 on the 1040 form. So if you fit this number or are below the number, then you would qualify for college applications or SAT or ACT fee waivers. The way that you would prove that to me is you would send me an email with a screenshot, or you could text me a screenshot of the tax form. Of course, black out the social security numbers. I don't need to know that stuff. I don't want to know that stuff. I just need to see number of people in the household, and then the adjusted gross income on line 11. So it's just the first page of the taxes. Okay. And then I'll be able to approve your student for a fee waivers for their senior year. So scholarships. A lot of juniors have been asking me about this already. And yes, juniors, you can apply for scholarships already. I have them collected on Naviance because I've been using Naviance since 2012. So I have a ton of scholarships that I've gathered on there. I've got national scholarships on there, of course, but I also have a whole bunch of random local scholarships that you wouldn't necessarily see on the internet because I had to, scan the application and like put it in manually into our search box. So local scholarships are great because if you think about it, you're competing with fewer people for that scholarship. So on this, on Naviance, right, in the colleges tab, you go to scholarships and money, and then you go to scholarship search. Look, these are the local and regional scholarships. There's a pull down menu that you can use to filter for junior year scholarships. The Big Future Scholarship is also one that I suggest that juniors try to do. And I have the link for that in Naviance. But also think about what keywords would be important for you. So for example, let's say you really like to read. Okay. So in the keyword box, type reading and see what scholarships pop up. Let's say you like to draw. Maybe you're not in the art program, but you just like to draw. Put in art and see what pops up. What if you like, I don't know, making videos? Type that in, video, see what pops up. Or you've done a lot of community service. Type that in, see what pops up. Okay. So think about what keywords you would want to use. You can also filter for things like scholarships that are just for women or scholarships that are just for men or your ethnicity or your nationality. You can put in Italian. You could put in Hispanic. You could put in Asian. Maybe you're Filipino like me and you put in Filipino. Maybe you type in Christian, right? You could type in Jewish, you could type in Muslim, and you will see those keywords popping up and you will see the scholarships that you can apply for. So yes, you can apply junior year. If you win scholarships, you're able to kind of stack those, so to speak, and bring those with you to whatever college, unless the college has unless the scholarship has a specification that it can only be used at a specific college. But most scholarships can be used at like any school you want, right? There's even scholarships if you're interested in trade school only. You can certainly type in trade and see what pops up. Parents, if you belong to a union, try typing in the name of the union, like AFGE or Local 246 or Teamsters or AFT, right? Or Local 3, and you can put that in and you'll see the scholarships that are available for your union. You can also ask your shop steward, obviously, or go on your union website and you will see the scholarships that union members' kids can apply for. Okay, now is the time to fix things that you need to be a certain way for senior year. So the name on your transcript needs to match the name that is on your SATs. It needs to match the name that's on your social security card. So all of these things need to match. If the name on your transcript does not match the legal name that's on your social security card, you will need to get that transcript updated. So the way to do that is you can go see Ms. Graziano in the guidance wing. You can also see your guidance counselor, but Ms. Graziano is the secretary who handles pupil records, and she can help you with that. I don't think you need to actually carry the social security card in with you. There's basically a form that you need to fill out, but you can't like have Johnny on your transcript when your real name is Jonathan. You need everything to match because your college applications all need to be able to link up to these documents. Now, parents, you should file your 2023 taxes if you should have done so already, because those are the taxes that you're going to use to apply for FAFSA. That's the financial aid that you do senior year. If you didn't have to file taxes because you didn't have a job or your income was too low, that's okay. That's fine. Of course, your student can still file for financial aid senior year. But if your income was high enough that you were supposed to do the taxes, okay? You will need to prove to the government how much your household makes. And that's what they use the taxes for. If your student has a savings account, think about moving it to a thing called a New York State 529 plan. It won't be considered a student asset on the FAFSA. Student assets are kind of weighed more heavily than parent assets when the federal government is calculating your financial aid eligibility. So it would be great if you could move that savings account to a 529 plan. That's actually what I have for my own daughter. Also, I'm going to point this out. This is a really good workaround, and it's legal. People other than parents can open an account on behalf of the student. Then it won't show up as a parent asset either. So, for example, if the grandparents want to open a 529 plan for the child, that would be great because the child will still be able to take money out of that 529 plan to use towards college or trade school. Any college or trade school expenses would qualify, but they won't have to declare that account on the FAFSA. So that is a really sweet workaround that you can do. Opening an account is free. It's a great program. I love it. That's the website that you can go on to get more information. As you're starting to think about colleges, I think it is so wise to get a cost of attendance estimate. I'm at that age where all my friends are sending their kids to college, and this is the number one piece of advice that I give my own friends. Okay. Google net price calculator and the name of the school to get a precise, well, it's a pretty precise estimate of how much it would cost the student to attend the school if they were accepted. You're going to need your 2023 taxes to do this, right? Or at least your W-2s. And you're going to be asked questions that the college uses to figure out your financial aid. But it's a really good way to find out, is it worth it to spend $100 to apply to Cornell? Is it worth it to spend $75 to apply to NYU or whatever? Because if your student isn't going to get enough money to make it affordable to go to that college, you may decide, okay, it's not worth it to apply, or it's not worth it to do all the extra essays that you're going to need to apply to this like top school. So you can get like kind of a quick estimate if you look up the college on Naviance and you get like an approximate cost of attendance. But honestly, the net price calculator thing, it's more time consuming, but it really gets you a better idea of how much it would be for your child to attend that school. So in an ideal world, you can take a list of like 20 schools and get that down to a more manageable, 5 to 10 schools. And then you're not spending a ton of money applying, and your student isn't spending a ton of money doing the applications for colleges that they have like no chance of being able to attend. Now, about the college admissions tests, there's a thing called the ACT, which is the American College Test. I always hear all these rumors, and one of the prevalent rumors is, oh, the ACT is better than the SAT, and that is just false. It is, honestly, it's just a geographical thing. The ACT is predominantly used by high schools in the middle US states. It consists of 4 tests. There's English, math, reading, and science, and then there's like this optional writing section that's, truly optional. Many schools don't even look at it anymore. And you can retake certain sections for a higher composite score. So this is scored out of a 36. Then there's a thing that we're a little more, that we use a little more commonly here on the East Coast called the SAT, the Scholastic Aptitude Test. It's predominantly used by East and West Coast schools. It has the 2 tests on it, which is the English-based reading and writing, AKA the verbal, and the math. So each of those tests is scored on a scale of 200 to 800 with a total of up to 1600. Colleges don't care which one you send. They really don't care whether you do the SAT or the ACT. They do not have a preference. But I am here to tell you that all the juniors will be given a free in-school SAT in the spring. Still waiting to find out the exact date. but in the past, it's usually been in March or April. Juniors are already registered. There is no need to do anything else unless they get testing accommodations like extended time or directions read to them. That if they do get testing accommodations, you can go ahead and talk to Ms. Arcuri in room 130 for more information about that. You can also email her. There's her email, or you can give her a call at extension 1304. But before you go nuts with thinking about test prep and SATs and all that, I do suggest that students take the SAT first, since there are fewer places locally to prep for the ACT. If your SAT score won't budge, then I'm recommending that you take the ACT. The ACT is like $68 to $93. It is a lot of money. The SAT is just around $68 as well. Like I said, colleges don't care about which one you send. And they do automatically, most of them automatically super score the SAT. So that means if you take it 3 times, they don't average it. They just say, oh, you took it 3 times? Oh, okay, that's the top reading score from this one test. And oh, the last test you took, that's your highest math score. So they just put those 2 scores together, and that's what they use to assess you. And of course, like I said, you can retake sections of the ACT for higher composite. But please be aware that test optional is a thing, and it is increasingly a thing. Before the pandemic, there were a good number of schools that were already test optional, but during the pandemic, oh man, the vast majority of schools on the East Coast went test optional, and the West Coast, I should say, went test optional. Now, many schools, over 1,600 schools, have gone test optional. So test optional means that the colleges will not hold it against you if you don't send SAT or ACT scores. So again, going back to the rumor mill, I always hear this rumor that, oh, if there's 2 students applying to a college and they have the same grades and the same activities, but one person sent in their SAT score and the other one didn't, they're going to take the kid with the SAT scores. No, that is not what test optional means. It literally means they are looking at everything that you're sending them, and they're not holding it against you that you did not send your scores. So to date, I have gotten students into top schools in the country, NYU, Barnard, University of Southern California, Columbia, Cornell, Northeastern, all these schools that are really hard to get into, that have like single-digit admissions rates, acceptance rates, and they did not send test scores. Okay, it truly means that you don't need to send the scores. Test blind schools, if you see that terminology, those are schools that won't even look at the scores if you send them. So right now, the verdict is still out on many schools being test optional for the class of 2025 in particular. CUNY has already announced that they will be test optional for your class. Okay, so again, this is a great question to ask when you're visiting schools or talking to schools at a college fair. Ask them, will you guys be test optional for my class? And it's worth finding out too, if you're applying to any special programs, like for example, I don't know, the physician assistant program at Wagner College. Find out, do you guys need test scores for that special program, or is it still test optional like the rest of the school is? So juniors, what are your next steps? Your next steps would be to stay focused on your academics. You need to do well junior year. Colleges are going to see your freshman year grades. That's the fall and spring. They're going to see your sophomore year grades, again, the fall and spring. And they will see your junior year grades, the fall and spring. So that's 6 semesters worth of grades that they're going to see for you. They don't see the marking periods. They see like the second marking period, which is the term grade, the semester grade. Really think hard about planning for a 4th year of math and or science if you can handle it. Think about taking free College Now classes each term if you possibly can. Mr. Grippo and Ms. Diaz will be sending out emails about when it's time to register for those classes. You're able to take up to 16 college credits for free through the College Now program. 16 credits, by the way, that is a full semester of college. So if you attend a college that's, let's just say, $24,000 a year in tuition, if you have 16 credits and that's a whole semester you don't have to pay for, instead of $24,000 for 1 year, you're paying 6,000. I mean, you're paying $12,000 for 1 year. All right. So you can save a massive amount of money when you're in college by taking free College Now classes. I'm also going to point out you get a better lottery number for picking housing and for picking your classes if you come in with college credits. So, as much as I love advanced placement classes because it shows how you're willing to challenge yourself, you don't necessarily get the AP credit unless you get a 4 or a 5 on that exam. And that's hard to do. So, taking the College Now classes is great because it is definitely easier to get, a B or an A in a College Now class than it is to get a 4 or a 5 on an AP exam. Just saying. Now, after I do my junior presentation in February, you can make an appointment with me. It's not mandatory that you make an appointment. If you already know that you're applying to CSI and like that's the only thing you're doing, okay, fair enough. You don't need to meet with me. But if you're thinking about applying to private schools or SUNYs and you're not a scholar and you'll need my rec, yeah, let's meet so I know who you are. If you want me to consider you for scholarships and awards, yes, please make the appointment with me. If you need help creating a list of schools or you're, confused about majors or you're really worried about financial aid, these are all important reasons to make the appointment with me. You cannot make the appointment now because I'm still dealing with seniors. After that junior presentation in February, I will send out an email explaining how you make the appointment with me. Okay. A good thing to do this term would be to stay involved in school activities, maybe pick up some leadership positions. So, for example, maybe you run for vice president of a club, maybe you run for co-captain of a club, and document your community service. So, for example, let's say you set up at the beginning of every church service on Sunday, and then you stay after for like an extra half hour to help out with, the hospitality after that church service. All right, so you've been volunteering like an hour every Sunday throughout high school, but you haven't been recording your community service. Okay, sit down and document that, write it down. On that community service directory that I was talking about, that's in the junior class Google Classroom. The last page has a like a timesheet, and you can use that timesheet to document your service. You don't have to have your pastor or whoever your volunteer coordinator is. You don't have to have that person sign every time you do community service. If it's an ongoing thing like that, you can just kind of write it down like what you do, and then just put the dates, weekly, from 2021 to 2023 or whatever. You can put that in there and just have them sign it. And then, like I said, start thinking about which junior year teachers you want to ask for teacher recommendations. 2 is all you need. You do not need 7. You don't need 5. You don't need 4. 2 is what you need. I promise that is all you need. Okay, other next steps. Juniors, you can start using Naviance to start researching schools and majors and careers. You can create a schools I'm thinking about list on Naviance and start, if you haven't started community service, start squaring that away. Start looking for places where you can do that. Start visiting schools and attending college fairs. We hold a really big one on April 11th, which is almost like 100 schools and organizations that visit us here at Wagner. And like I said, ask the representative about admissions, requirements, special programs, and aid. Now, the timeline is in June, you request your teacher recommendations. In the summer before senior year, you start writing your college essay. In August, the college applications open up for your class. You cannot apply before August. September through December, you're submitting applications. And then October 1st, the FAFSA, financial aid, will open up for the 2025 to 2026 school year. So when you apply for financial aid, you're applying for the year that you're going to be in college, that you're going to need it. Okay. So you cannot apply for this until you have a firm college list or you've finished applying to colleges. And then there's state aid, which is New York State aid. It's also called TAP. You can apply for that for additional aid if your income is 85,000 or less. And then senior year, December through March, you will start to get college admissions decisions from the schools. And then February through April, you start to get financial aid packages, which is how you know how much it's going to cost you to go to that school. And then by May 1st of senior year, that is the universal deadline to enroll at the school and send in your deposits. So students, I'm just going to remind you, you need to join the junior class, the class of 2025, Google Classroom, and there is the code. Okay, I think I have a few minutes for questions, so I will end the sharing there. Okay, let me stop the share. Okay, and ready for some questions. So let me look. Okay, just a second. Okay, so great question from Rich Nunziati. He said, is having a part-time job better or worse than doing community service? Oh, it's perfectly fine. I mean, I'm sorry I didn't mention that. Having a part-time job is awesome. It's great. It shows responsibility. It shows that you can, show up to places on time, that you are trusted by your employer to do certain tasks. So it's fantastic. In an ideal world, you're doing both. In an ideal world, you've got a part-time job, and maybe you're also doing the occasional volunteering gig. Something like 20 hours for junior year, I think isn't too much to ask. A lot of kids, by the way, volunteer during their lunch periods. So they'll, go to one of the offices at Wagner and they'll say, hey, do you need any help? I'm free during my lunch period and, I'd like to volunteer. So for example, I have like a bunch of students who volunteer in the college office and they help us with deliveries and they help us, with filing. So that's great. After school clubs don't really count as community service unless they're service oriented clubs. So for example, Key Club, Service to Society, Loving Bones, Spice of Life. I feel like I'm missing one. But if it's a service club, then yeah, it would count as community service. Just like attending like Albanian Club, that's not considered community service. Okay, another great question. Is it better to get a recommender to support academic strengths or special interests? If you know your major, then you would really want to pick somebody who's going to, sort of support that. So for example, if you're pre-med, you're probably going to want a math rec, you're probably going to want a science rec. If you're going to major in theater, then yeah, of course you would want one of your theater teachers. But I would not use a performing arts teacher or a visual arts teacher unless you're going to be going into that area. Like it's not really helpful if you're planning on being a business major, but you have like a recommendation from your guitar teacher. Like that's not a great guy, but like it's not going to really help. For 3 years of language, does middle school accelerated language credit count? Yeah, if it shows up on your transcript. So if you took Spanish in 8th grade and it shows up on your high school transcript, and therefore you were able to jump into Spanish 3 and 4 and then Spanish 5 and 6, at the end of sophomore year, then yeah, that would count as your 3 years. Done. So yay for taking that stuff in 8th grade. Going back, let's see. SATs, are they registered already? Yes, they're registered already for it. It is in the school during the school day. I don't have the date for you yet. I will email you, I promise. Okay. Let's see. Does it need to be a teacher from junior year, or can it be a teacher who taught you another year at Wagner that you might have stayed close with? Cool question. Let's say your freshman year English teacher, you had a great time with her, and now you volunteer during your lunch periods as her monitor. Yes. Okay. She can talk about how you've grown and changed and matured over the years. But let's say it was your science teacher freshman year, who you say hi to in the halls. Okay, that's not really They can't really talk. They can say you're a nice kid, but you don't want somebody who can only talk about how you were when you were 14. Um, let's say your social studies teacher from your global teacher from ninth grade had a great time with him, and now he's the advisor for a club that you're in. Okay, that could work. Or you had a teacher freshman year, stayed friendly with her. Senior year, you're going to take her class. That would work. Okay. So, if it's like a special situation, have the student come and talk to me and we can figure something out. Okay. And when I say come and talk to me, the periods that I'm free without appointments would be period 1 or period 5. If the student is in class during those times, they would get a pass from the teacher first and then come down to my office, which is room 194, to talk to me. And they can always email me or text me too. When can I apply for Spring College Now classes? Not yet. They haven't sent out the email yet. Keep checking your NYC students' email. That's where you're going to see the email. And by the way, like, that's a really important tip. This is also how colleges are going to contact you, how I'm going to contact you. Today, I just sent out an email about a paid internship for computer science. The people who see that and apply for it are going to be the ones who get preference for it. So be good about checking that NYC students email. All right, that is really important. All right, let's see what else we got here. I think I have a few more minutes. Let's see. Okay, that's another accelerated question. Test optional schools, do they need scores for scholarships? Not necessarily. A lot of the test optional schools, like, they don't want the kids who applied without test scores to be left out of looking for scholarships. So a lot of them will not make that a factor in their financial aid or in their scholarships. That you could certainly ask that question too when you are talking to the reps. Okay, let's see. Okay, did my child have to do community services? No, I answered that question. It is not required to do community service for graduation, but you should do it for college applications and for resumes. Okay, not required, but it looks really good. High School National Honor Society, of course, that would count on your resume. Let's see what else. Working for free at your after-school program at your local park. Of course, that's community service. Parents cannot log into the junior class Google Classroom. It is just students. Okay, you do not need a registration code for Naviance. Like I said, OSIS number for the username. Click on Forgot Password if you forgot your password and you're using the NYC students email to send a reset. Parents, you can get a parent account if you email me or you text me. Okay, I think we're good. Let me see if there was anything else. Almost there. Let me see. Can sophomores make an appointment with me? Nope, sorry. There's only one of me, and in the fall, I belong to the seniors, and in the spring, I belong to the juniors. But like I said, any kid can come in and ask me questions during periods 1 or period 5. They would get a pass from their teacher first. They're also welcome to email me or text me. And sophomores can get into their Naviance accounts too. Feel free, okay? Everybody in the school has an account. And for National Honor Society, do you need recommendations? I don't know. I don't run National Honor Society. Look at wagnerhigh.net, go to student activities, and then go to the NHS page, the National Honor Society page, and all the information you need should be there. Okay, I think that is it. If you have follow-up questions, like I said, email me or text me. And I look forward to working with your students this year. Okay, everyone, have a great night. Take care. Bye-bye.